Have you ever thought about what you would do if you needed to report an emergency outside of your current city, town, or even state? Let's talk about it. Hello everyone, my name is Keenan Leonard-Solis, and I'm the dispatch supervisor for the town of Georgetown, Massachusetts. Today I wanted to answer a question I get asked a lot. What do I do if I live in town and have an emergency somewhere else? Now this happens more often than you might think. Imagine, for example, that you're calling an elderly relative one morning just to check in, and they're slow in their words, and they're not speaking coherently, and you think they may be having a stroke. Or, let's say you have a college-aged kid across the country in some off-campus dorm, and they are texting you saying that they think there's somebody outside their dorm. Now they're not answering your texts. What are you supposed to do in that circumstance? You're living in town, the emergency is across the country, you have no way of getting there quickly. You could Google the number for the local PD, but we're here to help in that circumstance. Let me tell you how. First off, here's how I think about it. If that emergency was happening at your current location, where you are right now, would you call 911 to report it? If your loved one was sitting across the table, having dinner, and suddenly started having a medical emergency, would you pick up the phone and call 911? If you were watching movies late one night and you get an alert on your phone that your security camera detects activation and you see somebody outside going through your car, would you call 911 to report that? If it were me, absolutely yes. So if you would call 911 to report something that was happening at your current location right now, then you can absolutely call 911 to report an emergency that's happening right now somewhere else. So how do you do it? The beauty of all of this is that the 911 phone system in Massachusetts is already equipped with the resources to facilitate this. Massachusetts uses what's known as Next Generation 911, or NG911. Now this was a major upgrade to our state's 911 phone infrastructure, and there are many advanced features that are baked into the new software. Better mapping, better call handling tools. NG911 is far and away more sophisticated and capable than the legacy 911 systems that came before. All you have to do is pick up your phone and dial 911. But you must understand ahead of time that the 911 phone system is ultimately designed to show the current location of the person who is actually calling and route that call to the agency that has jurisdiction over the location of wherever that person is. For reasons that I'll save for another video if you're interested, the 911 call that you make in one town may initially be answered by a call taker in another community who would then transfer your call to the correct agency. Now this isn't a flaw, it's just how the system is designed so that your emergency call gets answered and into the 911 phone system with all of its mapping and tools as soon as possible. This is all to say that when your 911 call is answered, you need to carefully explain the unique circumstance to the call taker. Something like, my name is so-and-so, I'm calling from this address or location in whichever city or town, my telephone number is this, but the emergency is at this other location or address in whichever other city, town, or state. You know, my kid texted me this and now they're not answering their phone. In Massachusetts, when your 911 call is answered, the call taker has immediate access to a directory of every, what we call, Public Safety Answering Point, or PSAP, within the Commonwealth. And these are special direct numbers that are built into the 911 phone system, and they're only available through 911. If you call our regular business line, we don't have access to these numbers because they're not dialable outside of the 911 phone system. In addition, and this is relatively new, the call taker also has immediate access to an out-of-state directory. This is a collection of phone numbers to dedicated PSAPs in other states. On the occasions where I've used this, I've been connected to a state police or sheriff's office dispatcher in that particular state. When the call is connected, you can let us introduce the conversation to them. We'll give them the gist of what's going on, and we'll stay on the line until we at least know that they have your contact information as well as the correct address and nature of the emergency. From there, they will usually transfer the call to the local agency that has jurisdiction over the specific location of that emergency. And that's all there is to it. A couple reminders and points to stress. Remember that these are features that are incorporated into the NG911 phone system in Massachusetts. I can't speak for how any other state handles emergency calls for service, and I would refer you to them if you have specific questions about how it works in their state. Second, bear in mind that if you're calling 911 to report an emergency, it's very likely that you may be under extreme duress or in a complete panic. The last thing that you may want to be doing is verifying your location and phone number to me. But please, try to remember that if I'm the one to answer your 911 call, I have an obligation to identify you by name, telephone number, as well as the location from which you're calling, so that if something were to happen during a call transfer, I can immediately call you back to try again. Or, if your cell phone battery dies mid-call and I can't call you back, I can search our records for another telephone number on file, or even dispatch an officer to wherever you are so that they can relay any important details to me via the radio. Those of us who work in public safety should be doing whatever we can to ensure that emergency services are readily available and easily accessible to the people we serve. To that end, I hope this was helpful and informative. Thank you for watching, stay safe, and as always, call us if you need us.